Hello, everybody. So my name is Ivana Komen, and I'm a full professor of marketing at the University of Rijeka, Faculty of Economics and Business in Croatia. And I'm going to give this presentation together with Nina Grgurić, who is a research and teaching assistant. We can move on, Nina. Where we come from in terms of this simulation, we have so far run 2 strategic marketing bike simulations, both at the master studies level. And one was in a class which was offline with 6 teams, and the other one was with an online class with only 3 teams. And so that gave us a little bit of a perspective what works best in which of the 2 environments. And we also have some experience with some other software simulations, not from Marketplace, but some other that we used in previous years. So to continue, what is our motivation for sharing our experience, as we are very new to the software, but we thought precisely because we are so new, we have some fresh perspective that we wanted to share with potential new instructors that are maybe hesitant or maybe not sure how to best use the simulation. And therefore, we decided to give this presentation. So we want to help instructors maximize the benefits of the simulation. And we want to help them to prevent students from shooting in the dark, as that impedes learning. And as any simulation, it is possible for students to just click something, whatever, and then get some relatively good results. And that's not the point. We want students to learn. We really found this simulation to be a great tool and very easy to implement. And we were very happy that we started using it, and we still are, and we plan to continue using it. However, we must say that the effectiveness of learning depends on how an instructor manages it. So the role of instructor is very important in the simulation. So we continue now with some learning barriers that we identify and the solutions. But before that, we would like to show some roots of the barriers that we have identified. We have identified 4 roots of learning barriers that are actually embedded in the differences that we have seen between what we used to do in a classical project-supported course and in a simulation-supported course. So first of all, required reading is something that students much more easier understand the amount of reading that they are required to do and the amount of preparation that they are required to do in a classical project where they have a certain number of pages, certain number of articles that they have to read, whereas in the simulation, every click and every quarter brings new volumes of text, and at the time they can be a bit overwhelmed with that, and they cannot plan their time well. The second difference is the assignment output. So what we found is that although students were aware that they have to make certain decisions and that is the simulation of the real world, somehow for them, in the beginning, it was a little bit difficult to understand what actually will be the final output of this simulation. Whereas in the classical project-supported course, for them, it's easier to understand it because they either have some kind of a template, either they have certain number of questions that they have to answer, or they have to make a marketing plan or something which has a headlines that they need to fill in. So it's easier to understand what their required output is than compared to this simulation-supported course. The third difference is the role of the marketing plan. As usually, we also teach different marketing-related courses, but very often we rely on some kind of a marketing plan, either integrated communication or international marketing plan or similar. And it's usually the final thing, the final output in the process during the semester. And here, it's only the mid step, and the implementation of the marketing plan is actually the final output, which is great for learning and which is the plus of the simulation, but it can also be a bit frustrating for students to start understanding that what they have written in the marketing plan, which sounded perfect for them, may not be so well planned once they start implementing it. As I said, this is great for learning. We are just now highlighting some of the things that might discourage the students, and why the role of the professor is so important to manage these issues that may come. And then the fourth difference is the role of the market data, or actually the type of market data. While in a classical project, where students have to search online, they are aware that all the different data that they need for decision-making is scattered online. So it's obvious that it has to be processed for decision-making. In the simulation, it's more structured. And then students think that actually one table is enough for a certain decision, but it's not the case. And I think it's good with the simulation, because the simulation tries to mimic the real world. So it still has different tables that need to be analyzed together so that an informed decision can be made. But as I said, this is something the students are not so well aware. And these four are actually now the roots of what we have identified as learning barriers that Nina are going to discuss, the four learning barriers.
Yeah, the first learning barrier that we came across is poor time management. Students' poor time management, they find it somehow challenging to assess the time required for each quarter. So they end up making uninformed decisions. So what the instructors or instructor can do is inform them that in the first 2 quarters, they should focus more on understanding the software, familiarizing with it, and the market, what's going on in the simulations market. And in the subsequent quarters, the real marketing learning begins, and it requires them to understand and analyze market data. Then instructor can explain to students the order of navigation through tabs. So there are some that are market insights, and there are the others that are market decision-making tabs. And even if the instructor has previous experience with simulation, can show them time per quarter invested by the top performing teams in previous simulations, and provide an overview of decision complexity, which increases as the simulation proceeds, so they can plan their time accordingly. The second learning barrier is poor teamwork organization. So they often neglect to clearly divide assignments among team members within each team. And then they result in failing to conduct all necessary analysis, and some get duplicated. Now, to help them with this challenge, instructors should help them understand the decision scope of their role. And during these marketing plan presentations, which are really helpful, instructors should discuss with each student the decisions within their responsibilities. Now, students often fear that their role requires more work than others. But the instructor needs to tell them that despite the roles, they all need to understand the full market situation. But during the decision-making discussions, each student should adopt a perspective aligned with their roles. The third learning barrier is neglecting data analysis and synthesis. As Ivana already mentioned, they don't really realize they have to prepare data scattered across different reports into information for decision-making, because in simulation, it's all so neatly presented. Now, to help them overcome this challenge, instructors should provide an example really early on how to combine different data from different reports to inform their decisions, and probably to instruct them to keep learning notes or a diary or something from the beginning as they navigate the simulation. So, for example, they should have an Excel table for competition analysis, or a notepad for some additional insights, and so on. Last but not least, learning barrier is relying on self-reference. So students not only do that, but prioritize their own real-world experiences over the simulation context during decision making, and the only way we can come up for now to overcome this challenge is to constantly remind them not to think of a real-world experience, but to base their decisions only on the information provided within the program.
So in conclusion, we can say that marketplace simulation is a really valuable learning tool, and it helps both students to understand the marketing processes and the interdependence of marketing decisions at both strategic and tactical levels, something that is really difficult for students to understand without a simulation, regardless of the way and how much time we devote to explaining that. And also, it also helps or assists teachers in conveying knowledge and motivating students to interact and learn, as previous presentation also showed that it's a game, so students are, of course, more motivated and more engaged with learning. And as the end, we would like to say that successfully overcoming the identified learning barriers increases the benefits of the marketplace simulation. Thank you very much. And here are our emails if you need to contact us later.